In today's video, we're talking all about the Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5 price points. A lot of information has come out thanks to Daniel Ahmad. He went in depth on a lot of different information, so we'll talk all about that. Remedy talks a little bit about their projects in the works. They have an unannounced title entering pre-production, and Control might be headed to the PlayStation 5. I think that is a great idea, and for a variety of different reasons, which we'll talk about in this video. And lastly, Mortal Kombat 11 has a great deal available right now on Amazon, so we'll talk that at the end of this video. But first up, the Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5 price points has been a big point of contention. Some of you guys are begging for it to be at $400. I think that is highly unlikely, and we'll go over the information in just a little bit. Some of you guys want it at, $700 so you can get the premier hardware or whatever the case may be. I think $500 is the most logical price point. A new report from Bloomberg claims that Sony is struggling with the next-gen console's pricing due to its components being rather scarce. According to the publication, manufacturing costs of the PS5 have been pushed to around $450 per unit. That is quite high, suggesting that the console's retail price should be at least $470 to have a similar gross margin. Since Sony is currently selling its most powerful console, the PS4 Pro, at $399 or less, this will be a steep price for many consumers. Consumers will benchmark their expectations based on the PS4 Pro and PS4. That was coming from analyst Damian Thong. If Sony prices above that, it would likely be to balance a need to offset higher material costs against risk to demand. Well-known industry analyst at Nico Partners, Daniel Ahmad, has now taken to Twitter to comment on Bloomberg's report and has said that what has been claimed in the report is fairly accurate. Build cost is not the retail price, the analyst tweeted. As the article states, a $450 build cost probably result in a retail price close to $500. Also noting, I think at this point it's unrealistic to assume that we'll get a high-end console at $399 like last generation. Ahmad added, the PlayStation 4 was sold at a loss on day one. Its total build cost was $381, but of course, the build cost is not ultimately the final price that you're gonna pay, nor is it the price that Sony has to end up paying to get the console out there. Additional costs involved such as retailer margin, etc. push the total cost for Sony over $399. Took a few months for them to make a profit on that price. So yes, they sold the PlayStation 4 at a loss initially. They knew how important, based on the failures of the PlayStation 3, they knew that it was absolutely paramount that they did get it to $400 and make sure that it could compete with the Xbox One. Alternatively, Xbox One was actually the console that launched at $500, and they had Xbox Connect as a mandatory item. Obviously, they went back on that, and that was another one of the many train wrecks of the Xbox One's launch, and I think everybody has learned a lot from the failures of that console, and I think going into this generation, it's going to be a whole different ballgame. I don't think that $500 price point is going to be a world ender. Look, if you're buying the console on launch, chances are you're the type of person that wants the premier platform right away. And if you are the kind of person that doesn't want to pay $500 and $400 would be a lot better, you're probably also the type of person that does want to wait a little bit until the PlayStation 5 gets a bevy of games out, they get a lot of updates, whatever the case may be, maybe a price cut even, and that's ultimately what you could wait for if you're the kind of person that is so worried about the $500 price point. If that is the case, chances are you're not buying it at launch anyway. I think the $500 price point is still acceptable. I think if they go any higher than that, like $600, $700, $800, yeah, that would be a lot. I'm not against the idea of doing a premier platform, like a top shelf platform that is $600, $700. I think that's a great idea. However, initially, you do have to offer a model that is at least palatable to the majority of people, and I think once you start hitting that $600, $700 threshold, that is getting a little bit worrisome. Of course, that was ultimately one of the elements of the undoing of the PlayStation 3 initially. However, I meme on $599 US all the time. Everybody memes on $599 US. It's a fun thing to meme about, but when you actually assess the PlayStation 3, there were a lot of issues outside of the price point. They obviously rushed the console out to get it out because the Xbox 360 had been out for a year already, and it wasn't really ready to be launched. But then you also look at elements like the games lineup. The games lineup was not that great, especially at launch. What were you playing? You were playing Resistance, Fall of Man, and then Genji Days of Blade. That's not a launch lineup that is that quality, and then there were also gaps of games not coming out for a while. Remember games like Lair? Yeah, the PlayStation 3 ended up having a great set of exclusives, but for a long while, and maybe revisionist history makes a lot of people forget about this, the PlayStation 3 did not have a good library, and the Xbox 360, that's where it was at for the games. And the thing with the 360 was, even on top of the price point, it being a cheaper platform, it also had the better architecture, so a lot of third parties were just developing games on the 360 exclusively, not even bringing their games to the PlayStation 3. Obviously, that changed after a while, but there were a multitude of elements that led to the failure of the PlayStation 3 initially. It just wasn't the price point, although that definitely is a factor, and you do want to stay away from a $600 price point the best you can. If it does hit $600, however, for the PS5, if a games lineup justifies it, and if the Xbox Series X is priced similarly, I do think both platforms will still end up selling, but I do think at that point, the price is going to make some people a little bit scared of buying the console, but at $500, I think everybody's still going to be all over it. So that's my 2 cents on the price point. This is something we can talk about for a long time, and a lot of people are going to have differing opinions. I always like to hear from you guys whenever I talk about the price point. Sound off in the comment section. What would be the price you would like to see the PS5 at? Are you of the mindset that $500 is perfect? Maybe you want it at $400. Maybe you want it at $600 for whatever reason. Maybe you're the kind of person that doesn't even have any plans to buy it at launch. Let me know your PlayStation 5 pickup plans in the comments below. Alright, moving on from that, we gotta talk some other stuff. Remedy has an unannounced title entering pre-production in 2020, and a Control PlayStation 5 version has been hinted at. Alan Wake creator Remedy has revealed in its recently published financial statement that it has an unannounced project set to enter pre-production in 2020, alongside 2 new expansions for Control, and speaking of which, it looks like Control might also be coming to the PlayStation 5. While nothing has been announced yet regarding a next-generation version of Control, here's what Remedy said. Control's high-quality, uniqueness, and technical innovation provide opportunities to bring the game to new platforms. There's also ongoing work so that we are prepared for the next generation consoles arriving in 2020. In addition, the company is also working on Crossfire X single player for Xbox One and has a new live service game, Vanguard, in the pipeline. Right now, there's no word on what the unannounced project is, although it might be Alan Wake 2, it could be a follow-up to Control, whatever it is. Remedy is a very, very talented studio, a little bit underrated of a studio. Actually, I would say highly underrated. All of their games have been really good. Unfortunately, they just don't end up selling the best, and you look at a game like Quantum Break, that was an Xbox One exclusive, also released on PC later on, but that was a game that they and Microsoft put so much money into, and it just didn't end up selling that well. It did okay, but when that much money was being put into the game with the live television element of the game, there was a ton of money put towards that game, and it probably didn't meet the sales expectations nor to justify its cost. But nonetheless, they do some really good games, and I really enjoyed Control. I often talk about it as one of the most underrated games of 2019. I thought it was a fantastic game, not only from a narrative standpoint, which is to be expected from Remedy, but really from a gameplay standpoint. I thought Control was one of their best games thus far. Is it a perfect game? No, but I do think there's a lot of potential, and I do think re-releasing the game on the PlayStation 5 makes a ton of sense for a variety of reasons. First of all, this is a very technically impressive game. If you've seen this game in action on PC, maxed out at 4K or whatever, it is a beautiful game. So to take off the technical handcuffs on the PlayStation 4, put it on the PS5, you can do so much more with the game from a visual standpoint. Just upgrade it, that's easy to do, and then you can also throw in the DLC. You can release it at, $40 or $50, and that'll be another chance for people to discover the game, because I do think offering all of the content with Control, releasing it at a cheaper price point, taking off the technical handcuffs on the PlayStation 5, I think that would do really, really well from a sales standpoint, relatively speaking. I'm not saying it's going to sell north of 10 million copies or anything like that, but I could see it doing relatively well for a remaster. At the end of the day, remasters aren't this massive production undertaking. It's not like they have to sink so much money into it. Just upgrade the game, pack in the DLC, price it accordingly, and I do think it would sell rather well, so let's hope that comes to fruition, because Control definitely deserves a second chance and a second win, because it didn't do as well as I thought it should have done. It earned to do, deserved to do, whatever you want to say. I do want Control to, have a larger player base and have more people experience the game, because it is a great game. Alright, lastly, I do want to let you guys know that Mortal Kombat 11 is available on Amazon right now for just $20. What a great deal on Mortal Kombat 11. This is obviously a little bit older at this point. It's coming up on a year old. Damn, I'm really dating myself with that one. I can't believe it's already been a year with Mortal Kombat 11, but nonetheless, $20 for the game is really good. Of course, as is the case with the majority of fighting games in 2019 when it came out, When you buy the game, you don't necessarily get the entire experience. There's a lot of content that's behind DLC and whatever. I imagine that they will eventually release a Mortal Kombat 11 Complete Edition or a Game of the Year Edition, whatever they want to call it, that does have a lot of the additional content. But at this point, that has not been announced, so $20 for the base game I still think is rather good, and I think MK11 is one of the better fighting games that have been released this generation. A lot of competition within the fighting game realm, a lot of great ones have been released this gen, but Mortal Kombat 11 definitely stands out as a great one, and they remedied a lot of the early issues with the title, so definitely a good pickup at just $20. And that's gonna conclude this video. Again, as far as the Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5 price, due to the expensive parts, it might be a little bit more expensive than you're hoping for, probably at $500. Maybe it'll be a little bit more than $500. I think at that point, I don't know, I would get a little bit weary, but I think ultimately it would still sell rather well. Remedy has a lot of stuff in the works. They are hinting at Control on PlayStation 5. They have another title that is set to enter pre-production. Hopefully that's a Alan Wake follow-up, a Control follow-up, whatever they do, you know it's going to be of quality. And Mortal Kombat 11 available right now for $19.99 over on Amazon. That's going to conclude this video. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.